Right, now it's the end of the road for e-tolls, but someone still has to pay for the Gauteng roads improvements. The province says it will contribute just under 13 billion to decommission the system. However, that money will need to be raised through various revenue streams and what's being mooted as a hybrid model. Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi previously proposed that it be paid over the long term, 20 years or so. There's little information, though, what a hybrid model could entail. Well, let's unpack this now with OUTA CEO Wayne Duvenage. Wayne, good morning and thank you very much for your time. Though many welcomed the decision to do away with e-tolls, there's still a lot of questions around the funding model going forward, or what we're now calling the hybrid model. What is your view now on these lingering questions?
It's very confusing, and we don't really understand what they mean by a hybrid model. Certainly what we do know is that the hybrid model doesn't include e-tolls. It doesn't include an electronic tolling system to collect money from the road users. But it might be that the Gauteng province is going to allocate its share, and we are still questioning its share, 30% of 43 billion rand, because 43 billion rand is not the GFIP debt as far as we understand it. So we still need clarity around that. But let's assume that that's what it is. Well, they're going to get money from Treasury. And Treasury is funding the other 70%. So it's just like moving the deck chairs on this Titanic, you know, well, we'll put the money from here to there and then pay it another way. And then they might use some of their own revenue generation, let's say from traffic fines, which they will use the gantries for. So now you're talking a hybrid model. Is different revenue streams that come into Gauteng's province, traffic fines, license fees. There's casinos fees, liquor. They've got a lot of revenue streams, and they might be dipping into a number of those to pay for their 30%. That's the only hybrid model that we can think of that they're referring to, and they're obviously going to spell that out at some stage. But it has got nothing to do with bringing in e-tolls in to also fund it. That we do know.
Mm-hmm. But this pace at which they're moving to address the citizens around how we're going to fund it, is it not problematic? Because some are very concerned right now that it might end up costing us more.
Well, it's cost us more already because SANRAL didn't deal with this issue right in the beginning, and government didn't deal with it. They kicked this can down the road for a long time. Remember, within 6 months of the launch, by mid-2014, the scheme was failing, and failing rapidly, and the compliance levels were dropping after they reached a maximum of 40%, when they said they would get to 90+%. And remember, when you launch these schemes, you launched it as close to 90% as possible. You launch with the big uptake right from the beginning. It's not something you build on over time, because you don't ever get there, as we can see. So it's cost this country a lot of money. I should have made the decision and allocated these funds from Treasury right in the beginning, which is how these roads, by the way, are financed. And here's the next question we've got for SANRAL and for Treasury. You know, there's been big interchanges and highway upgrades in KZN, for instance, up the North Coast. There's a big one happening between Pietermaritzburg and eThekwini at the moment. Now, I can tell you right now that road upgrade and Ashburton interchange upgrades and all of that in the KZN province is not being funded 30% by KZN. It's being funded by SANRAL. So we don't understand that in Gauteng, the Gauteng province picks up part of SANRAL's roads and the maintenance, the debt, but not in any other province. So it doesn't make sense. And as we said, the 43 billion rand is not the Gauteng Freeway Improvement Project debt. That debt was 20 billion rand. SANRAL said that in court. Now, 20 billion rand, even if you paid nothing off over this time, still doesn't add to 43 billion rand, including the interest. And another thing is, SANRAL have already received from Treasury 24 billion rand over the last 10 years from Treasury for this Gauteng Freeway Improvement Project's debt. So what have they done with this money? There's no clarity. And we just think that Gauteng is agreeing to settle some of this debt without actually understanding and asking the tough questions. Mm-hmm. And SANRAL is not really explaining this clearly.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying we should hold off on this hybrid model or any other model at this point and rather get clarity around how much exactly we owe?
Yeah, it looks to us that the province is happy with the 43 billion rand that SANRAL did. We've said it's not the debt. That is not the debt. It's not in the court papers, not anywhere. Has it been 43 billion rand? It's 20 billion rand, and if they paid no interest, then add the interest onto that. But they have received money. So yes, we're saying there's a lot of clarity required. Gauteng province needs to stand their ground on this matter. This is SANRAL's road. SANRAL raised the debts. SANRAL messed this up completely. Treasury backed SANRAL. Treasury must find the solutions. And if they're forcing the Gauteng province to pay for it, but Gauteng, remember, relies on Treasury for allocations. So I think they're just going to go to Treasury and say, increase our allocations, or let's make a debt repayment plan, as you can hear, over 30 years or 20 years. It's just moving money around. They must have clarity so that we know how to deal with these things going forward. Otherwise, the KZN must pick up 30% of the road upgrades that SANRAL are doing in their province. And so must the Western Cape, and so must the Eastern Cape. But that's not happening. So there's a lack of clarity around policy on road funding, and this is where it starts to get messy. And government is not dealing with this properly.